Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Crew Car with myself, James Battey, and Nick Hayward-Young, who joins me, who's the Superyacht Psychotherapist. How are we doing, Nick?
Very good. Good afternoon, James. Nice to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for joining me, taking time out of your day. So, Nick, how did you get to be in yachting? What's your affiliation with yachting? Like, how did you end up in the space you're in?
Okay, so I've had what I think people would nowadays call a portfolio career, should we say, and I've got no plans to stop working. I enjoy my work. I do several other things as well. But how I got into yachting because pardon the pun, I drifted into it. I'd always messed about in boats from an early age as a child, and as a teenager, I was a barefoot layabout in Lymington washing charter boat decks, and so it was in my blood from an early age.
Legend.
I then went off to London to seek my fame and fortune in the TV and video production business, and found neither, but I had a great time. But then as technology and age combined to work against me, I realized probably about 10 years ago, maybe more, that it was starting to spit me out, and I could no longer charge what I'd been charging in those days in the TV business. And so I thought, where are all my yachting tickets? And so I dusted them all off and went as basically a charter skipper and sailing boats, exclusively sailing. I'm not a motorboat person.
Right, okay.
But very quickly I should say that I have been very lucky in life to have some friends who do have super yachts, and I use the term on purpose, knowing what that means. And I've spent probably 20 years as a regular guest on these yachts, so I've seen very much firsthand how crew get treated by owners, by guests, by fellow crew. I've got numerous members of my family, my brother-in-law, my partner is a charter broker, my brother-in-law is a classic yacht captain, my daughter is a stew on a yacht, so I'm surrounded by it.
Oh, wicked. So you've got a very good perspective on the various different moving factors.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, from what you see, like, has it got worse? Has it got better? Like, are the tools there to help people? I mean, there's a huge, I hate to say movement, but, I think it's been far more of a focal point now about people's mental health, because people are starting to realise that you can be the most amazing crew member in the world in terms of physically fit, able, all the tickets in the world. But if it's not right in here, then it doesn't matter what you have.
Sure. I mean, I think, yes, there's clearly a huge amount of talk about mental health, but I would say that one should temper the enthusiasm we have about all this talk about mental health with the fact that we're getting quite good at talking about it, but I don't know how much it's been actioned. I mean, there are lots of training companies, and I don't want to diss these training companies because they've all got their hearts in the right places and they're all doing a great job, but they're offering to train people to look after their own mental health and to recognize maybe what's going wrong with their colleagues or to recognize the signs, which is great. But I don't think there's really any ongoing sharing of information as to what do we do beyond that.
Yeah, I think, like we were talking about before, obviously we came on air, so to speak. I think that you're right. I don't think people necessarily, apart from going on Google and going, I want to speak to someone, I'm having some troubles, I need a counsellor or whatever, and then you may get on one of these websites which allows you to find a counsellor, which is great. But then again, yachting in itself, as you just described, is a niche market of its own. When you talk to a counsellor about your situation, there's like that situation in itself if you were land-based, but then you put in the added factor of working on a yacht and being in that confined environment where you eat, sleep and breathe in one place, they maybe don't understand that fully. So, yeah, I certainly didn't know, and the only reason that I came across you was I'd seen you on LinkedIn, and I'm all about elevating the good within the industry, and I've used counsellors in the latter part of my life to deal with some trauma and everything else that's happened to me, and I can't speak highly enough about it. It's as a tool for me, it's been unbelievably helpful.
Yeah, I think I certainly, when I was training way back, I had never had any counselling prior to doing my training. And when I was told, oh, you're going to have to do your 50 hours or 100 hours of therapy, my first reaction was, I don't need that. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm here to help other people, not myself. But I soon realized when I did it that it's fantastic, and that everybody should have it. And that even if you haven't got skeletons knocking around in your cupboard, the chances are you probably have. But even if you haven't, it's still worth having therapy because you gain something. Everybody gains something from it. Everybody.
Yeah, I think, like you say, you may not. No one thinks that they have a problem, maybe, and actually just the power of talking to someone.
Yeah.
And offloading, because, like I've said before to you, just again off air, it's that ability where you talk to friends about maybe an issue, which is great, and you want to share, like, okay, what's up, bud? And it's like, well, it's this and this, and understandably, as friends, family, you want to fix it. You want to be like, well, you know what you should do? You should do this and you should do that. And then you kind of get bombarded. And then there's a part of you that's like, oh, man, I wish I hadn't said anything. And, why have I've let this. Whereas I found with speaking with counsellors over the years, it's just an offload. It's just quite nice just to get it off. It's like, oh, thank God for that. That's gone, and they're not trying to fix you and tell you what you should do. They're there to listen and kind of process it, I suppose, which I think has like huge benefits to your own mind and psyche, just that ability not to be maybe carrying that burden.
Yeah. And to be able to talk to somebody who's completely non-judgmental, I think, that doesn't have a view, or, I might have a view, but I'm not going to share it with you what my view is. So as far as you're concerned, I'm just like a mirror, really, that I'm holding up to yourself, and that and I'm helping you see your own problems and help you deal with them yourself, but not by offering any advice. Because if I give you advice, then it might be the most obvious piece of advice to me and to everybody else in the room. But I'm not you. So if I give you the advice and it goes wrong, then you're going to be forever blaming me. You're going to say, well, you told me to do it.
Yeah, so, no, exactly. And also as humans, we love to do that. We love to blame. We love the blame game.
Yeah.
We love to try and go, well, you told me that's the way I'd fix it, and that's the way. So that's what I did, and it's not worked. And it's like it kind of takes the responsibility off yourself to fix yourself. I mean, we are responsible as humans. We are responsible for our own mental health, and there's a lot to do with what we say about ourselves. If you think negatively, it's like in an evening writing down your gratitude list, like just things you've been grateful for. It's very easy to come up with negatives. You're like, oh, this went wrong today, that went wrong today, oh, I did this, and this person was mean to me. But putting down, like, I'm so grateful that I get to have a roof over my head, I get food in my stomach, which we just end up taking for granted on the day-to-day. And I often say to people, what changed my perspective on life is exactly that, gratitude, because a lot of people would trade their best day on this earth for my worst day. And when you start to look at things through that lens, you start to go, well, I mean, okay, yeah, it's not ideal, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing pretty bloody good. And yeah, and that was told to me by, not told, but kind of implied, like, okay, well, a tool that might help you is in an evening writing down what you're grateful for, and then read that first thing in the morning when you get up. And it's just changing small habits that kind of over time start to change your mentality and your perspective and outlook on life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I mean, so how many people do you currently have as clients, so to speak? I suppose clients.
I suppose in if I was to say in total at the moment on the go, I have got probably. I mean, I don't exclusively do super yachts, so I also do, but in the super yachting world, there's probably about 10, and some of those would be if they're on leave or if they are shoreside and they can get to a phone or a Zoom call, and we might do it once a week. Others are much more sporadic because we might do 2 or 3 weeks and then they're on a crossing or whatever. And with the best will in the world, I don't think I've seen or talked to anybody yet who's not been away from the boat. And it might just be in the shipyard, around the corner on a phone, but I don't think I have yet to see anybody or even hear the other end of the phone anybody who's actually on board, literally physically on board, because they're worried. The stigma is still massive around it, and they're worried. They don't want to go to their captain and say, "Can I have a room to speak to my therapist?" Because they're worried the captain's going to say, "Oh, I've got a nut job here. I don't want this person."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is still what happens and how it's perceived.
Yeah, I think that negative connotation, like you say, I mean, my crew, amazing, and, a few of them have, rightly so, they have therapists that are like, "Hey, is it all right? The only time a therapist can do is during work time." I'm like, 100%. Obviously, make it up. If you've got work to do, then make it up. But 100%, your mental health is so important.
Yeah.
And, the rest is arbitrary because it all falls into place at the end of it.
I'm not saying that every captain is like that at all, because I've had some referrals. I've had captains who have basically paid, or had the owner pay for people.
Yeah.
So I don't want to tar everybody with the same brush at all. But I think for the young crew member, their reluctance to get in touch is because of this fear that is how they're going to be perceived.
But I think you're right, and I definitely think you're right, and I think there's a lack of awareness as well. I mean, to be honest, when someone may be struggling with something, we unfortunately in 2023 had a death on board the vessel, and we were all in a bad mental state. There was a lot going on. It's a huge amount to witness and take on board. And, that offering of saying, "Look, guys, does anyone need to speak to someone?" And a few crew took it up. But it's like no one really knew where to go. And it's very difficult to talk to a counsellor. I suppose the benefit that yourself has for our industry is that you're aware of our industry. I mean, I'm sure counsellors are sure, of what's below deck, but that's their perception of what yachting is, unfortunately, and therefore maybe they don't come at it from the right angle. But I think it's hugely important that people like yourself are sort of empowered and made available to us as an industry, because it's a huge tool just to be able to offload and be able to talk to someone that's not trying to fix you, not trying to offer up an opinion, but just listen and kind of be like, "Yeah, no, that makes sense." And it's like that ability is a huge asset from my perspective.
Yeah.
So what, in terms of the sessions, how do they run hourly that you do it? And in terms of the dirty word of cost, because everyone's going to want to know.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure. So basically, the session is, I suppose, what you call a therapy hours, but it's 50 minutes. So, but we call that now, but it's 50 minutes. And I tend to, for people getting in touch with me, that first off, I'll do a 10-minute chat if they want to just hear my voice, and we either do that on Zoom or a telephone call just to see if they think, we could work with this guy or not. And then we will arrange the first session. I'm not into insisting people do half a dozen sessions or whatever. It's completely open-ended. Charge 70 GB pounds for the session. Although, I mean, I sort of naively thought when I started this that I would be called by insurance companies to go and, sit in an office in the Med once a month for a week or whatever. But, there's no way that's happening. And that was very naive of me, because obviously the business is so transient, and it would be fine to have a queue of people coming for that 1 week. But then they probably wouldn't be there in a week next month because they've gone off somewhere or whatever. So
but we've got technology now, which is hence that we're sat in this conversation. You're in Lymington, I'm in Pembrokeshire. It's so accessible, and now as well with Starlink, there's very few places on this planet that you can't get access to Wi-Fi. So it's amazing that you can get some space, hopefully somewhere on board, and be able to talk to someone. Yeah. So I love what you're doing. I think it's so important, and I would encourage anyone just to have a taster session almost, because I think it's one of the. I think there's a lot of fear that comes with it as well, because when you say to someone, "I'm going to speak to a therapist" or "I'm going to speak to a counsellor," there's that negative connotation, like there's something wrong with you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not. It's actually like, as humans, on the whole, we like to talk. We like to chat. We like to, be able to talk through problems. And it's quite nice to talk to someone that doesn't know who you are and everything else going on. And you don't get that judgment and that opinion and that bias, I suppose, that you get from friends and family. Oh, you're being ridiculous. Don't worry about it. Pull yourself together. You're okay. Your life's bloody good compared to everyone else. It doesn't matter how good someone's life looks from the outside. I've had in my life, unfortunately lost friends who from the outside, you looked at their life and you were like, you are living the dream. You're like, amazing family, amazing job, all the money in the world, like beautiful house. And then they've, lost their lives, through suicide. And you're like, whoa, because they were carrying it all on themselves and they didn't have maybe that outlet to be able to go, you know what I'm really struggling with at the moment is this. And it's like, just to have that ear to bounce these things off, I think is, unbelievably valuable.
I think also another fear that some people have who maybe heard about therapy or maybe they've had friends who've had therapy. A lot of people, I think, worry that we're going to unearth something that they didn't know about themselves, some awful, find out that they'd been abused as a child or whatever. I'm not looking for that. I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm purely listening to what you tell me at the time. So I think, and it's a justifiable fear, I think, because there are types of therapy that want to be able to pin somebody's problem on a past event, and sometimes with justification, but often without justification. And I think that's quite dangerous. And I think I would like to make it clear, certainly the type of therapy I offer is not about trying to unearth something that may or may not.
Yeah, not trying to dig around in your past and try and tie various things together to go, that's where this all stems from.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've as well been to some therapy where it is that, like, let's get to the root cause of it. And it's like, just I kind of want to just chat.
Yeah.
And offload.
Yeah. I mean, I think in time, if you work with somebody for a year or so, then you might well end up going a long way back and finding stuff out, but not in the sort of the near future. It's not how we work at all.
Yeah, and also I suppose it's down to you share what you want to share. That's down to the individual themselves. So, yeah, it's not like you're trying to scratch around in the background and trying to tie everything together.
Yeah.
So what do you think the future is? I mean, what would you like to see?
I think what I would like to see is I'd like to see therapy talked about in the same way as making an appointment to go to the dentist, for instance, so that, Captain, whoever you might be talking to, can I have time off? I need to go to the dentist. There's no stigma attached to that. There's there's no guilt. There's nothing. Whereas at the moment, there is still a reluctance and a sense of uncertainty to say, can I have time off to see my therapist or to talk to my therapist? I think we're getting there because it's obviously becoming much more spoken about, but I think we're still a little way off. But I would love to see that.
I think that's so true. People you would never, if someone's like, oh, dental, you'd be like, go. But when you think that, like, yes, teeth used to be, back in the day, the largest killer of men and women on the whole through bad sort of dental routines, but without your mental health, without everything being right in here, everything else is irrelevant. So, if you look after this, then essentially you look after everything. So, I suppose I've never really looked at it like that, as the stigmatism that comes with, like, oh, do you mind if once a week I'm going to go and do it, once a month? You go for routine dental checkups, you go for, your health checkup. Well, the sensible people do that, think about their long-term.
Or even going to the gym, even just going to the gym.
Well, yeah, exactly.
People respect people for going to the gym, thinking, oh, you're making yourself physically better. Why not also have the same respect for somebody who wants to make themselves mentally better?
Again, that's even better. Because I'm a gym junkie. I love the gym. I had a long time out of the gym, and it's amazing what it does for my mental health, because I've always been massive into my sport, not necessarily the gym, because I've always been able to get that muscle and everything else through sport. But being on a yacht, you don't get to play sport, so your only outlet may be the gym, which I'd lost for a long period of time. But I love it, and I love what it does for me, because I kind of start my day early working out and feel like I've already conquered something before I've started. And you're right. Everyone's like, yeah, nice one, going to the gym, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. You know, looking after yourself, making sure you're mentally strong. But as soon as you went, oh yeah, I really want to speak to my therapist, they were like, what's wrong with you?
Yes.
What, you a bit loose up here? And it's crazy, really, when you think about it. But yeah.
I hope we get there eventually, but as I say, I think it's still a little way off.
Yeah, well, in whatever way we can help, and I will put all of your links to your site and everything else. And I personally can't recommend counselling and therapy enough. What it's done for me through various traumas I've had in my life. And yeah, I think from speaking to you as well, just very easy to talk to. And that is key, because not all counsellors you necessarily can get on with, but you try, as you said, you have a taster session with someone, and if it doesn't work out and you're not seeing anything from it, then that's great. But at least you've tried it, and you know it's a litmus test, and everyone has to. Some people you'll get on with, some people you won't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, can't recommend it enough. And Nick, I can't thank you enough for your time, because yeah, you're a busy man, and I appreciate it. And like I say, I'll put all of your socials and your website in there. Please do reach out to Nick if you're struggling in any way, or you just want to talk. I mean, it's amazing to be able to just offload. So, Nick, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful weekend. And, yeah,
James,
look forward to touching base in a little bit, and hopefully, you know, more yachties reach out to you and start that journey.
Thank you very much for your support, James, and your interest in it. I mean, I think it's frustrating. A lot of probably almost all the people I see say, oh, we never knew something like this existed until one of our friends told us or a colleague told us. And so we just need to spread the word and say that, you know, and I'm not alone. I'm not the only person doing this finally, but just let crew know that there's no stigma attached to it. We're here to listen and hopefully help.
Well, that's the biggest point, is remove that negative connotation that comes with therapy. Like, that means that you're mentally unstable. I think that's something we need to we need a rebranding, essentially, of the market as a whole. Because
if you injure your leg and you get muscle wastage, nobody's going to question you when you go to the gym and start working on that leg to get the muscle back again. So if you...
or you're going to physio because you kind of want to get some help and rebuilding, and it's done in a structured way of like, right, we're going to do it in the pool, you know, because we don't want to put too much strain on it. Exactly that. It's, why not the same, but for your mind?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Crazy. Well, Nick, thank you so much again. And it's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to catching up with you again soon. And hopefully you saying, more and more people reaching out and, just trying to make the industry a better, safer place. So,
fantastic, James. Thanks for your time.
If your brand belongs in the heart of the yachting world, this is where it happens. Yachting International Radio reaches over 1 million yachting professionals and enthusiasts every month, with 77 million impressions, 220,000 social followers, and 74,000 podcast subscribers. Our hosts are insiders, crew, captains, CEOs, trusted voices shaping the industry. This is targeted, high-impact advertising in a luxury niche. Visit yachtinginternationalradio.com/advertise. Your audience is already listening.